Welcome to GarageBand 11. This tutorial is for singers and musicians that want to use strictly their own instruments to record. And I have started off here. First thing I did was click on File and New to open a new project. I got a lot of different things here that you can choose from. I always choose this one, which says Songwriter. Now come down here and click Choose. And when this opens, they list these things here are called tracks, and they list a lot of different tracks to give you some idea of things that they offer you to use. And they've got one recording here of a drum. We'll play that for you in a minute or so. And here on each track, you can cut your headphones on or off. Here you can mute it or unmute if you want to listen to it. Over here is one very important thing. You've got what they call smart controls. And when you click on it, it opens up things down here that you can use. But like I said, I hardly ever use any of this stuff because I use my own instruments. And here, when we click on that, right now it's saying keyboard sensitivity, but we're going to do something else in a minute. I'll come back to this and show you what we'll be interested in. And the first thing I need to do is get rid of these here, which I'm not going to use. So first I highlight it, then I right click it, come to here and choose delete. And that deleted that one. Then I right click this one, delete. Right click this one, delete. Right click this one, delete. This one, delete. That leaves me with this one. Now if I right click it and say delete, it comes back and says, wait a minute, there are regions on this track. Do you want to delete it? Right now I'm saying to cancel. This is what they call regions. That's where your data is recorded. And we'll just give a listen to this. And it's just a drum beat. Then I'll hit carriage return. It takes me back to the start. This little item here where you can drag it along to any part of the timing line. If you want to start at a certain point, say if I wanted to start here to play something over and over, and you go up here and left click that, you can pull this down to play a loop of a certain area of a song that you might want to listen to over and over. So that's what that is for. And if you go up here and click that again, you can get rid of it. And each time I hit carriage return, this will go back to the start. And like I say, I don't use any of these tracks that they show me to start with, so I'll delete this one too. And like I said, he's got regions here. I'll show you that. I'll cancel that. And I can get rid of this by just clicking delete, as long as it's highlighted like it was. You have to highlight it first, and you can delete it just with your delete key on your keyboard. Now I can right click this and delete it. Now he goes back to this screen. It says record using a microphone or a line input. Well, this is the one I want to do anyway. So I choose that. And I come down here for create. I'll click on create. And they start off with one track, you can set this many different ways, depending on what you want to do. But first, before we do that, you need to go up here and set these features for your timing, etc. Now, you've got to set the key that your song is going to be in. And what you need to do is practice your song and get this timing into close to as possible. You can get to the number of beats that you've got in your song. And the way you do that is you listen to this metronome. Let's see if we can get it on here. And you would listen to the metronome after you get your timing set to whatever beats per measure that you want, etc. And like I said, you got to set the key. And then when if you double click this, then you can change it. Right now it's reading 96. I could run it up to say 150 if I want to. And then we play that metronome again. It's going to really speed up. So that's the first thing you've got to do to get your timing set for your song. And over here I said we clicked on this earlier. Click on it again. And right now this feature down here has changed. What we see, it shows recording settings, and over here has changed too. But I still don't use any of this. You might want to use it. Got equalizer, compressor, and different things. If you don't want to use it, you just turn this switch off. And you need to set your record level. Do some test recordings from your mixer, mic mixer coming into your computer input. And click this button for automatic level control. And then this button here will move back and forth depending on it as it monitors your input level. And when you get the average input level set, then before it changes anymore, unclick that, because if you don't, it will continue to change. Down here you can select your input. 1, 2 is like stereo, or you can go single, which is monaural. And even with monaural, you can still pan left or right to get the different sounds that you might be interested in. Down here is where you monitor your input. That's got to be lit up. And it also has to be lit up with the different tracks. Matter of fact, down here, if I click it down here, it will light it up there too. And you've got a feedback protection, which you can use or not use. Okay, we covered the this area here they call smart controls, which is down here. Now this feature here, I never have used. You've got a pitch correction, something about track and regions. I never have fooled with any of this. That's not to say it's not worthwhile. It's probably very worthwhile, but I've just never gotten around to using any of it yet. So I'll unclick that. And here is just where you can play your tracks, or it's a lot more convenient to play your tracks on your keyboard. Your space key will start your tracks to play, and the return key will get you back to the start. And the R key, record, if I click that, and this is what we get, the record screen, record track. If I had something on there, this, you see different spikes up and down to show what you have recorded. Now I can delete that with my delete key on my keyboard, as long as it's highlighted. And hit carriage return. That takes this little guy here back to the very start. You'll be using this a lot to get different parts of your song. And we covered there's a metronome, And these things are here we're not interested in right now. So this will be about all for part 1 of this tutorial. It's probably going to be in 3 parts. So I will publish this and get it on YouTube, and then I'll start working on part 2. So see you next time. Welcome to GarageBand 11 Part 2. In the first part, we covered different things about the inputs, setting your timing, the beats per minute, the key, and your note value, notes per measure. Covered the metronome, and we covered this little the smart controls, which down here has your recording levels. We went through all of that, and now what I have done, I've recorded a song with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks of a simple melody called Wildwood Flower from the old country music days, about 40 seconds long. And earlier we had talked about the metronome, which is not a very good timing device by itself. And what I did here, I fed it metronome back into my computer input for GarageBand. And you have to go down here and leave your monitoring turned off because you'll get feedback. But I recorded the spikes from the metronome for the entire length of my song. And then I went over here and I just, in this section here, I just typed in drums. And this thing, let's see if I can do it here. I'll just cut this one out and type in DRUM. And it shows a lot of different drums. There's the edgy drum here, which used here. That's not the main screen that I wanted to show there, but there's the other one that I used was the vocoder drums. Anyway, I like the sound of the edgy drum, and I recorded it for the length of my song. I changed over from the spikes of the metronome, it automatically changed itself to the edgy drums. And then I created another track. Up here you can't see the menu bar that goes across here, but if you click on the track, you get a drop-down menu that says make a new track with duplicate settings. And that's what I did here. And at first it said edgy drums down here too. But then I went back up here and I highlighted this one and went over here to edit the drop-down menu, and I chose copy. And I copied that entire region. These sections here are called regions. I came back down here to this track, then I went to copy again, and I chose paste. And I pasted the track in there. And then from this, I chose vocoder drums instead of edgy drums. And the two of them mixed together were just, what I did was just, I clicked on this one, left clicked, and you can drag it. And I dragged it ever so slightly in time to get the sound that I wanted on these two beats together. And what I have done here is recorded 5 tracks of a song, which I'll play for you in a few minutes. And I want to show you some more stuff. If you go here, first I'll highlight this one because I want to put another track below it. Oh, incidentally, when you move your cursor anywhere in this region where your tracks are, or over where your regions are, be careful, because if you're touching your left click or right click, you can delete things that you've got over here that you worked hard to produce. Or the same thing here, you could delete them or move them up to another track. You might not notice it till later on. If you ever do that, though, one thing good about it, you can go up to edit. You can and you can recover back to a certain point. But anyway, I'll go to this point, which is a plus mark, and say click on the left click that to make a new track. And we'll come down here. Last time we chose a microphone, and we had the same thing here, and then we clicked on grid. But this time I'm going to choose this one, which is record guitar or bass using GarageBand as an amplifier. So click on that one and say I want to hear my instrument as I play it. I hear sound from built-in output. And here you got your inputs. That will show up again. We'll click on create. So we got this new track. And I want to, instead of, well, this is one I was looking for drums, but instead of drums, I want to use bass. So I'll go up into this search bar and type in just bass, B-A-S-S. And you've got all kinds of things you can choose from bass. One that I really like, it's not showing up here, but if you look for it, you'll find it. And you've got a tied acoustic bass, that's a good one, or just regular acoustic bass. Different things you can choose. But I want to show you that. And I will right click on this one right now and delete it, because I'm not going to use it anymore. And again, here's where you could have set your recording levels. We went through that on part 1. And for built-in input. And right now, I said I would play you this song. Now what I did here was on there's a melody of the Wildwood Flower, and here I've got a regular rhythm where you're just strumming the guitar, and this one is a rhythm beat like they used to use in the old days of country music, back before they started using drums. What is it? You strike one stroke down on your guitar, and the next stroke you deaden it. So every other stroke you would deaden the sound of the guitar, and it produces something like a soft drum. And another thing I want to show you here, we'll get back to that in a second. This is very important. Up here on you can't see this, but it's on the menu bar at the top. It says Mix. And if I click on Mix, I have a drop-down window. It says Show Automation. If I click on that, it shows the different where you can set your levels for recording. and you get these little dots. Sometimes you can single click it, or you might have to double click it to where the dots will show up, and then that shows at the level that you have recorded the song at, and you can vary it up and down accordingly to get your master recording. On this one, like I said in part one, I usually start my songs about 5 seconds into the song, which if we go back over here for time, and I pull this little, I don't know what they call that thing, but it's very valuable, and you'll use it a lot. You can pull it along the whole timeline. And that is about, I started this one just about 5.02 seconds. That's where I started it. I'll hit return on that. And for the first part of this song, you're going to hear the drums. And then about halfway into it, about 20 seconds, I cut the drums off and I turn on the other drum beat I've got here, the one I was telling you about where you deaden the strings, so you can see the difference in having drums or this old-timey measure of getting the beat that they use in country music. And this slider over here, you'll use it a lot too, going back and forth like this. And another thing on the timeline with this one, you can pull it anywhere along here, and if you right click it, the song will go so far about middle ways, and then the slider will stay there as the rest of the tracks are going by from right to left to the end of the song, in case you want to be looking for a certain thing. So anyway, we'll go back to 0, and here's the very short version of instrumental version of Wildwood Flower. And you'll notice that the all tracks have faded out. You can adjust it to fade out at the on the end of your song. So that's about it for part 2, and I'll see you next time on part 3 in the final version of this tutorial for GarageBand 11. Have a good one. Welcome to GarageBand 11 Part 3. This is a song that my recent song that I uploaded to YouTube called Bang Bang. Wanted to run through a few of the tracks for you and show you what I did. I did the on this we had talked about using the metronome to make drum tracks. In this one, I used, before I told you, I used a combination of vocoder and edgy drums. But on this one, evidently, I don't remember exactly how I did it, but both of them were vocoder drums. In this one, I don't remember what I did, but it looks like I doubled up the speed of the beats. Anyway, I got to end up getting the drum sound that I wanted. Here, of course, is my the main vocal. First, I did a pilot. We discussed doing that on the first video, I think, where you just like use your guitar and your voice and in conjunction with your timing to see how what kind of timing you'd want on the recording that you're going to do. Ukulele, I've got 2 ukulele tracks. And then this one, in the Bang Bang, it calls for church bells. I couldn't find any church bell that matched my key and the short time needed. So I just took 3 wine glasses with different amounts of water in them and made my church bells that way. And here, pull this down a little bit, we've got the rhythm guitar and the bass. Now the bass guitar here, I use my classical, the bass strings on my classical guitar to do the bass. And the one I chose here is clean bass, hi-fi DI, whatever that means. And it seemed to have a pretty smooth sound for a bass, so that's what I use. And going back up here, I mentioned before that you could go to up here on the menu bar to mix and click on show automation. And another way you can get the automation is right here on this button. It says show hide automation. In order to see the automation, which is showing the line levels that you're recorded with, this little button here has to be enabled in order to make any changes. You still see it, but it's faded out. So that has to excuse me, has to be enabled. So I started off with the introduction of the having the drum a little higher than I wanted, and then when after the voice started, I cut down a good bit on the drums. And here, of course, is the vocal. I started the vocal after the drums finished. The drums, and further down you'll see I had a ukulele introduction. And then I cut the ukulele off, and then after that, the voice started. And then I mentioned a church bell sound in the middle of the song. I did that. I called it ukulele 2. And if you go over here, there is where the church bells came in, and it combined with the no, excuse me, that's not the church bells. That's the little different sound I had in the middle of the recording. This is the higher strings on the A string ukulele. This is the lower strings, getting a little bit different sound. And here's where the church bells came in, right here. And then, of course, the rhythm and the bass. And that's about it, I guess. If you should curious enough to see what this song sounds like, welcome to visit my channel and play it. Just remember, as long as you're moving your trackball or your mouse over in this area where the tracks are, over in here where your regions are, be sure not to touch any of the buttons on your trackball or your mouse, or you could end up moving items here or deleting, or both. So you want to be careful with that. And you remember about your setting your input levels, automatic level control. After it gets set, then release this button. You have to have this button on for the timer. Then you've got a feedback protection if you need that. We discussed either stereo input or input 1 for monar on input, and you've got features over here that you have a choice to use or not use. And so that's about it for part 3. I'll get this up on YouTube. Maybe I'll try to combine all 3 of them into one video. So have a good one and see you on YouTube.